There is a system behind the most terrifying serial killers in history that detectives only understand after it's too late. Most people never see it. But this killer wanted you to see it. He built a ritual, a deliberate, calculated process where murdering someone was only step one. Step two was mailing the proof to whoever he planned to kill next. Not threats, not warnings, actual evidence, photographs, clippings, items taken from the last victim's body, sent through the United States Postal Service, stamped, addressed, delivered to your front door. Between 1974 and 1991, at least 10 confirmed victims died at the hands of one man operating out of Wichita, Kansas. His name was Dennis Rader. You may know him as BTK, bind, torture, kill. But what most people don't know is that BTK wasn't just a killer. He was running a system. A communication system designed to control fear, manipulate investigators, and select his next target. And today, we're pulling that system apart piece by piece. Here's what's strange. Criminologists have studied BTK for decades. There are documentaries, books, Netflix specials, but almost none of them focus on the communication system he built. Because doing so means admitting something deeply uncomfortable. Law enforcement missed it. For 17 years, from his first murder in January 1974 to his last confirmed kill in 1991, Dennis Rader mailed letters, sent packages, and communicated openly with the Wichita Eagle newspaper and the Wichita Police Department. He submitted poems. He described murders in clinical detail. He demanded a name. He invented the acronym BTK himself. And every single time, investigators treated his communications as isolated incidents. One-off taunts from an ego-driven predator. What they failed to understand was that the mailings weren't random. They followed a pattern, a sequence. Each communication served a specific purpose in a larger architecture of terror that Rader had designed intentionally. The reason this stays hidden is simple. Acknowledging the system means acknowledging that 17 years of missed connections allowed at least 4 more people to die after investigators first received his letters in 1974. FBI behavioral analysts who worked the BTK case after his 2005 arrest, including retired profiler Robert Ressler and the team at Quantico's Behavioral Science Unit, have described Rader as one of the most deliberately communicative killers in American criminal history. But insiders know something the general public glosses over. Rader studied police procedure. He had a degree in criminal justice from Wichita State University, completed in 1979, 5 years into his killing spree. He knew how evidence was processed. He knew what detectives looked for. He mailed communications specifically designed to contain just enough detail to prove authenticity while withholding anything actionable. He controlled the information pipeline. When he sent a package containing a victim's driver's license, specifically Nancy Fox's license after her 1977 murder, he wasn't being careless. He was signaling operational confidence. He was telling investigators, "I have been inside your system. I understand your process, and I am choosing what you get to see. That's not a taunt. That's a power structure." So what exactly was the system? Let's break it down because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Phase 1. Establish identity. BTK's first letter in October 1974 to the Wichita Eagle created a public persona. He named himself. He listed murders. He demanded acknowledgement. This wasn't ego alone. It was brand construction. Phase 2. Prove control. Every subsequent mailing contained something only the killer could know. A specific wound location. A detail never released to the press. A physical item from the crime scene. This phase served dual purposes, proving authenticity to investigators while demonstrating to potential victims that he had already been inside their world. Phase 3. Select and signal. This is the part that almost nobody talks about. Let's get specific because the details here are what make this case genuinely disturbing. January 15, 1974, the Otero family. Joseph, Julie, their son Joey, and daughter Josephine are killed inside their home at 803 North Edgemore Street in Wichita. No letter yet. Rader waits. October 1974, 9 months later, he calls the Wichita Police Department from a payphone and directs them to a letter he left inside a mechanical engineering textbook at the Wichita Public Library. The letter details the Otero murders with information that was never public. It ends with a demand. publish a response in the newspaper, or he kills again. The Eagle complies. In 1977, after murdering Nancy Fox, Rader calls 911 himself. He gives the address. He stays on the line just long enough to confirm the report will go through. Then he hangs up. In 2004, after 13 years of silence, he resumes contact, this time with KSAS TV news director Larry Hatteberg. Over the next several months, he sends 11 separate communications. The final one, a floppy disk, contained metadata that traced directly back to his church computer at Christ Lutheran Church, where Dennis Rader served as president of the congregation. Captured February 25, 2005. The system that kept him invisible for 31 years ended because of a floppy disk. Now here's the shift most videos never make, and it's the reason I want you to stay with me for 2 more minutes. Understanding BTK's communication system isn't just true crime knowledge, it's threat literacy. Law enforcement teaches something called pre-attack indicator recognition. The idea is simple. Most violent acts, especially targeted ones, are preceded by a communication pattern, a letter, an email, a social media message, a note left at a location. Studies from the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals show that in over 67% of targeted violent attacks, the perpetrator communicated their intent to someone beforehand. The problem is that recipients, family members, co-workers, neighbors, didn't recognize the communication as a threat indicator because they didn't understand the structure. BTK mailed physical items. Modern threats arrive differently. But the system, establish identity, prove access, signal intent, go dormant, that system didn't die with BTK. Recognizing when someone is trying to demonstrate that they have been inside your world, that they have information about your routine, your home, your schedule, that recognition could be the most important skill you develop. And it starts with understanding that threats have architecture. They are not random. So what do you actually do with this information right now? 3 things. First, learn the difference between a threat and a threatening communication. A threat says, I will hurt you. A threatening communication demonstrates access. If someone contacts you and proves they know where you live, what car you drive, what time you leave for work, that is a threatening communication regardless of whether it contains an explicit threat. Report it, document it, do not dismiss it. Second, understand dormancy. BTK went quiet for 13 years and investigators reduced resources on the case. If someone in your life has made concerning communications and then gone silent, that silence is not resolution. It is a phase. Third, the floppy disk matters as a lesson beyond technology. BTK was caught because he got comfortable. He asked investigators via letter whether a floppy disk could be traced. They wrote back in the newspaper, falsely, saying no. He trusted a system he thought he understood completely. Overconfidence inside a system is always where the system breaks. That applies to the predator, and it applies to you as someone trying to stay protected. Don't assume the absence of visible threats means the absence of threat architecture operating around you. Dennis Rader is currently serving 10 consecutive life sentences at El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas with no possibility of parole. He is 79 years old. His victims, Joseph Otero, Julie Otero, Josephine Otero, Joseph Otero Jr., Catherine Bright, Shirley Vian, Nancy Fox, Maureen Hedge, Vicky Wiggerl, and Dolores Davis, were real people with families who are still living with what happened. The communication system BTK built was terrifying precisely because it was invisible to almost everyone watching. That invisibility is what this channel exists to break down. If this case is new to you, share it with one person, not for the shock value, because threat literacy is genuinely protective. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing cases broken down this way. The next video goes even deeper into a case where the killer embedded coded messages inside classified newspaper ads for 3 years before anyone noticed. That video drops Thursday. I'll see you there. Disclaimer. This video discusses real events for educational purposes. All persons are presumed innocent until proven guilty.